go. All right, you're good to go.
Well, welcome to your first YouTube for our planning and management course. I'm looking forward to working with you. It's a very diverse group. This is an area that I've been involved with for a very long time, really longer than I care to think about. But it's been something that's been very exciting, very dynamic, and some of it's changed a lot and some of it hasn't changed at all. So a couple of operational situations. I received a couple of notes from folks, and I understand the notes and I've tried to respond, but I think I'll say something here as well. In terms of working with the YouTube, with the Blackboard, I'd like you to take charge of that in the sense that somebody asked me, how should they enter this and start the string? Well, I'm saying there's several ways you can do it. You can respond to one of the questions, respond to another, and just post it, and then let the others who are going to respond. If you see the idea that there's a way that you could blend them, that would be fine too. The third way, which is kind of exciting for me, would be if you see a theme running through the questions, and you want to make that into a kind of an essay. But remember, those are supposed to be short. They're supposed to run for each question no more than 250 words. And your responses are as long or as short as you want to make them, as long as you don't say, great job, X, and just do that. That's not acceptable. But a comment about something you enjoyed or something, a thought that you had or could relate to from your experience, any of those would be fine. Okay, so that's the first thing. The other thing that I am a little bit more idiosyncratic than some of my colleagues, we inherit syllabi at Morgan. We have a gentleman who sort of coordinates them. Some of you had him for class, Dr. Henry Link. Henry's a good friend. I've worked with him for well over 40 years. And make a long story short, he's more obsessive compulsive about time than I am. I've spent my entire career teaching adult learners. Some of them were not adults, essentially chronologically perhaps, but they certainly were with the challenges that they face of job and family and all sorts of other things. So to make a long story short, I'm not as hidebound to time as he is. If for some reason, and sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't, if Blackboard, if you decide you have to go beyond that, whatever it is, that 11 p.m. thing, and you can't get it to accept it, well, that's fine. Send it to me directly, and I will send a response back to you. I make it a real strong purpose of what I do is to respond, unless, of course, you are simply talking to a colleague. If something is raised I'm interested in, I will respond. But I will just simply see, I'll hit it, I have a record of it, and that's all that matters. This course is organized better than the last one I taught because people had to be paranoid about getting points because they didn't give us one at the end of each module, which I thought was worthwhile. The other thing, I believe I put this in writing already anyway, but I'll repeat it here, is this whole issue of the last module, the fifth module. I don't expect discussion board. I will not put a YouTube up, mainly because this is where you get a chance. This is your chance to shine, if you will, your opportunity to show me that you really mastered the content of the course. And your final synthesis assignment is the way you do that. I don't want you wasting time responding to the Blackboard. You've already done that. Or looking at me on this YouTube thing. While that's important, it's not critical. What's critical, you take all the time and effort that it's going to take to show me how much you've learned. So those are mechanical things. If they're unclear, send me an email. Now, talk a little bit about this course. As I said, to start this thing, some things have changed a lot, some things have not changed at all. But one thing that concerns me, and I spent a lot of time getting ready for this course, trying to see if I'm still correct in my thought. There's not a lot of good writing being done right now on strategic planning. I'm disappointed in that. A lot of the material we're using is very old. Most of it's still good. The two books, Trump and whatever, and the other one are good books. The Brown essay collection is god-awful. But there's nothing else. That guy should have had his next edition of that out probably 3 years ago. So pull out of there what you can. My reaction to that comes, I was looking at one of your essays that you have to read. Philip Skolnick's been around forever. That essay next year will be 70 years old. Believe me, there's been a lot done since Philip penned that essay. Most of them are old, But you will be getting some things from me, and please do not become paranoid when you get something from me. I send it if I like it. The book that you all had trouble getting because they let it go out of print, somebody's going to send you a copy. One of our colleagues actually found it at a relative, I thought, reasonable price. They did a follow-up to that about 3 years after that one was released. I have that, and I'm going to send that to you. You have to do anything extra with it. If you want to quote it, terrific. If you want to allude to it without a direct quote, fine too. Main thing I'm interested in is that you have the beginnings of a bibliography that you can work with. Because each of these courses is pointing to one thing. Each of these courses is pointing to your comprehensive exams. And the more of the stuff that you keep and you organize, the better you're going to do on the comps. And planning and management is one of the areas that the comps deal with. So enough of that for right now, because I'm only supposed to do 10 minutes. I'm in a kind of a public area, so there's a lot of noise. I apologize for that. A couple things in the Norris Polson book. They're using the structural functional systems approach. That's very dated, but it doesn't hurt for you to know it. There's a very good chart on page 8. There are some things they're doing well. I know I'm going fast, but I wanted to get everything in I need to. The idea of building strategic alliances. One of the critical problems we have in higher education is the units within colleges, from community colleges to research universities, is silos. Instruction, student success, funding, community development, all those things are like large silos in one of these giant Iowa farms. So if you build crosswalks to them, you're going to have a much more successful operation. And I suggest you look at the chart. It deals with that on page 20. One of the other things I want to mention in the last page you read for this assignment is what-if analysis, where you try to look at a situation and say, okay, we've set our plan headed in a certain direction. Now, what if there's a change? And you have to constantly keep that in mind. One of the things you do to keep your fingers on the pulse of that is something we'll talk more about later called environmental scanning. Those things will be important. The guy I think the most of, and I'm glad you're reading him, excuse me, is Henry Mintzberg. Now, Henry Mintzberg's entire book that I taught the course with a number of years ago is free to you online. If you're interested in it, send me an email. Another thing that's important, by now you've already been introduced to framing with Bowman and Deal. One of the things that's in one of the essays that you read in the Brown book deals with power. And one of the things you need to remember is that the political frame is basically focused on power, gaining it, maintaining it, sharing it, seeing how it moves you more closely to the goals of your strategic plan. That's worth paying attention to. Another thing that's important, and I don't know if I mentioned it or not, there's a pretty good chart on page 15 in Brown. I don't know if you've worked or how much you've worked with something called organizational theory. There's a pretty good chart on page 15. Even though it's old, that's one that has maintained its currency, in my opinion. So just take a look at it. The other thing I want to repeat again, I'm very, very wedded to your success. That's why you have my cell number, you have my office number. I send you, and I've already sent you for the week we're in right now, my on-campus hours in case you want to call me on campus. I also gave you my landline, and I'm willing to respond within reason at almost any time. 3 a.m., maybe I won't be too coherent, but if it's something you absolutely have to know about, let me know. I also want to say one thing that I think is very exciting. I responded to a couple of you already. The state of Florida has taken a giant leap ahead, followed now, it appears, by New Jersey, and the law has been passed in my birth state, if you will. I can't call it my home state. I've been in Maryland longer than I was in Michigan, but they passed a law that allows a blending, a linking, if you will, of the community colleges to a university. Florida's done that with a lot of schools. New Jersey's just done it with Rowan University. They brought in two of the better known New Jersey community colleges, and then units within Rowan University. So something to keep your eye on. I'm going to try to find a way that our colleagues, since there are 3 of you in Florida, we can put this together and look at how that new organizational schema has affected the way in which planning at all levels, institutional level, regional level, and the state level, is impacted by this new organizational thing. So, excited to be with you. It's a good manageable number, and you'll get a lot of communication with me. Use that which you can use. The most important thing is that you take ownership of the course, because it is your education. Thank you.